The MAGA voters are apparently furious with Don Jr. after he asked conservatives to stop boycotting Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch over its campaign with transgender TikToker Dylan Mulvaney. Now, this is a story that has been developing for, it feels like, weeks now. And before we get to the conservatives' reaction to Don Jr., why don't we take a look at what he had to say and what sparked the fury in the first place?
Okay, we've all seen the backlash that Budweiser is facing over the trans marketing scheme. Is this a one-off colossal screw-up or is it something bigger? This could be just the act of one rogue, woke lunatic in a marketing department filled with leftist staffers. The Daily Wire is now reporting that no one at the senior level of Anheuser-Busch was aware of the partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. We looked into the political giving and lobbying history of Anheuser-Busch, and guess what? They actually support Republicans. In woke corporate America, Anheuser-Busch supports Republicans. Last cycle, their employees and their PAC gave about 60% to Republicans and 40% to Democrats.
God, he's so dumb. I mean, most Republicans are smart enough, and when I say Republicans, I don't mean necessarily the voters. I'm talking about Republican politicians and public figures. Most of them know that when they go on and on about corporations being woke, what they're referring to is just like the incredibly shallow virtue signaling that corporations engage in. But they know full well that when it comes to their own business practices, they're not woke at all. They're very much pro-deregulation, pro-tax cuts, which is why, of course, they donate a ton of money to Republican politicians. And Don Jr.'s like, we did a deep dive, a real investigation into where the money goes, and it turns out it goes to us. So we should stop the boycott because, we like the money and we don't actually have any real values or principles. So let's go in that direction. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I was wondering, is that acting or is he really that dumb?
He's really that dumb. I'll say
think so
he's
too.
Incredibly dumb. Yeah.
I think so too. He's the very last person in America to find out that the great majority of corporations actually support Republicans, and they support them with billions of dollars in campaign contributions in general, in mass. He said, oh, did you know? Turns out Budweiser actually supports Republicans. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, we all know that. Almost all corporations do. Just
but I love this
blithering idiot, drooling at all times, like the mentally challenged person that he is. And then he says, in woke corporate America, who knew that they would want giant tax cuts like my dad gave him when he cut to corporate taxes from 35% to 21%. Did you guys know they wanted that? Yeah, Beavis, we knew they wanted that.
I know, but I love that he did this because there is a disconnect between the Republican establishment and Republican voters. And it's something that you bring up on the show often, Cenk, which is whether you're a Democrat or Republican voter, you hate the corruption. You hate that corporations have more of a say in our policy and in our elections than ordinary Americans do. And so for Don Jr. to cut, this is the other reason why he's so incredibly stupid. For him to come out and say the quiet parts out loud and just be like, no, we love the corruption, we want their money, so stop attacking them, I think speaks volumes to Republican voters who are sick of the corruption in the first place. And I think that's partly what's driving some of the reaction from them.
100%, Anna. He's also too dumb to realize he's saying the quiet part out loud. And he doesn't realize that they ran on Drain the Swamp. That the Republican, look, this is and I say it in my book too, this is the one thing I always give Republican voters credit for. It's deeply ironic because they put a guy who's maybe the most corrupt politician of our lifetime into office, but they got tricked. They genuinely do not like corruption. I got 1,000 problems with Republican voters, but anti-corruption is not one of them. They hate it, and they don't actually like big business either. That's why Tucker Carlson's pretending to speak out against corporate America. That's why they invented the whole woke corporation talking point in the first place, because they had to take the rage of their own voters and their own viewers and misdirect it. Oh, corporations are buying all of our politicians and keeping your wages low, not giving you health care, and destroying your life and stripping you of your dignity. No, the real problem is they like gay people. Squirrel. And but Don Jr. is like, since he's not just a Republican leader, he's one of the dumbest Republican followers. So he didn't even get the memo. And he's like, oh, we were distracting people? I thought they really were woke.
Okay, but he can't stop himself. It gets worse. Okay, one more clip from Don Jr. urging conservatives to stop boycotting Budweiser.
They actually went pretty big for some important races. For example, they went big for Kevin McCarthy's effort to take back the House and fire Nancy Pelosi. That's a big one. You know who else Anheuser-Busch went big for? They went big for JD Vance in Ohio. Literally the most lit person in the United States Senate as far as I'm concerned. On the lobbying front, we looked into the bills that Anheuser-Busch was working. You know what they're focused on, guys? They're focused on taxes and trade. Things that actually impact their business. So here's the deal. Anheuser-Busch totally the bed with this Dylan Mulvaney thing. I'm not, though, for destroying an American and iconic company for something like this.
Oh my God, I love Don Jr., hero. Best video he's ever created. I love that he even lists Republicans who have been corrupted with Budweiser cash. He's like, oh, did you even know that they supported Kevin McCarthy and JD Vance? He's corrupt too. I didn't know. Did you know? It's amazing. It's so amazing. And did you know, Cenk, that corporations love Republican politicians who give them tax cuts and deregulation? Did you know? I didn't know. No idea.
No, that was my favorite part. When he was like, I figured out what they're really interested in. It turns out it's tax cuts. Oh, nobody knew that. I wish somebody would have told me that earlier. You absolute moron. Of course. Gee, I wonder what they're interested in. Protecting gay people and trans people, or billions of dollars in tax cuts. That one was a hard one for you to figure out, Donnie. It's the billions, Donnie. That's the thing they're concerned about. And then he does a laundry list of, look, JD Vance for 10 populists, turns out pleasures Anheuser-Busch for a living. They give him money and then he gets on his knees. I didn't know Anheuser-Busch was on our side. You just grab him by the bush and they'll give you anything you want.
Oh my God. Okay, so let's get into some of the numbers here because this is apparently enough money for Don Jr. to embarrass himself. So according to data from Open Secrets, Anheuser-Busch and people affiliated with the company donated $514,375 to the National Republican Senatorial Committee and another $464,505 to the National Republican Congressional Committee in the 2022 cycle alone. So that is the money that he was referring to. He believes that money speaks louder than what Republican voters are concerned about. And look, to be sure, I want to be clear. I think the boycott over the Dylan Mulvaney campaign is just stupid in the first place. Why does it bother you so much? Who cares? I mean, they sent Dylan Mulvaney a special can of Budweiser or Bud Light. Like, if that is ruining your day, if you're thinking about it more than 1 second, I don't understand you. But nonetheless, the Don Jr. video did get a lot of backlash, of course, on Twitter, because that's what Twitter's created for. So I'm gonna give you a few examples. One person wrote, Don Jr. defends Bud Light, opposes boycott over trans influencer. Don Jr., better to keep your mouth shut. You are not helping your future. Give you another example. Another person on Twitter says, Don Jr. telling us to stop boycotting Bud Light is the most rhino crap I've ever heard. This is exactly why we get stomped on all over from the left. Weakness. No, we will not stop teaching Bud Light a lesson, and no mocking women and men will not be tolerated anymore. And then finally, here's one more. More proof that Donald Trump is not going to save America. Apparently, Anheuser-Busch's conservative credentials also include getting 70% of Americans injected with the COVID-19 bioweapon. So like some of these people who are outraged by Don Jr. obviously are kind of crazy themselves. But what I really like about this story is that Don Jr. is highlighting Republican corruption, and he's highlighting it as if it's a good thing, and it's not a good thing. So
yeah, so I was just happy to see that there's cannibals on the right wing too. Like if you don't agree with the most extreme version of right wingness, it doesn't matter if your name is literally Donald Trump.
Of course,
okay, it's got Junior with it in it, but still, his name is literally Donald Trump, and they're still like, not good enough. Eat him. Okay. So I like going a couple directions. All right. Last thing is, yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm clear about this. So Dylan Mulvaney, they didn't even, just because they've said it so much, I don't want you to get confused. They're not even selling it to anyone. They just sent one commemorative one to her. Like
that's it.
That's it. M&M's once sent commemorative ones to me. Are we?
Oh no! I mean that is the final straw, Cenk. That is the final straw. I think we should really consider a boycott here.
I mean, maybe that's why they changed the M&M's cartoon. God, this one is so stupid. Even Joe Rogan was against them.
Yep. In fact, we do have that video of Joe Rogan. Why don't we go to that and then we'll wrap up this story.
Do you have any beer?
Yeah, you want a beer?
I'd take a light beer.
Okay, let's get some Bud Lights. Let's do this.
Yeah.
In support of Bud Light in their time of stress.
Let's be allies by getting a little day drunk.
We're gonna be allies.
Yeah.
You know, because Kid Rock and Travis Tritt have put the hammer down.
I know, they're really fighting the good fight, man.
Here's my take.
Okay.
Like what you're doing, what they're doing is just spreading the brand to an extra group of people.
Yeah.
Why, if something is good, do you give a who's got it? Like, would we do this with cheesecake? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if there was like a bomb ass cheesecake and all of a sudden, you know, some radical group like Antifa really got into the cheesecake, we'd be like, this.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Cheesecake Factory sent Dylan Mulvaney a special trans-themed cheesecake, I don't know. I don't even know what that would be like, but it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, there would be a boycott of Cheesecake Factory, 1000%. I have no doubt.
Of course there would. It's not even close. Yeah, but hey, look, Joe Rogan being sensible. Oh, what is this? Like 8 years ago? Okay. Apparently there was a hot tub time machine in the story, and I didn't even know it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. A little bit of sanity does the country good. So I appreciate
especially Rogan on trans issues.
I know.
Reasonable. That is shocking news, but like you said, Anna, we'll take it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.